Hi everyone. Okay, so I haven't done my makeup or my hair or anything. I look tired today. I purged some very heavy wounds last night and I felt like going quiet. I felt like not really making any videos this week because I'm feeling down. And I know that's not a good vibration to be on. I should be more positive and give myself some love, but seeing the things that are being said about me because I didn't stand up for myself in the past, that's where this stems from. I let people make situations look horrible on my end because I stayed quiet. Like I don't... Okay, let's stop there. This video, I want to make it about how manipulation took away my confidence, how it altered how I seen people being mean, how it made me insecure and really seek validation from the wrong people, and it led to doing embarrassing things, having an addiction to just being drunk. I didn't like ever get smashed around my kids as much as people want to believe that. I did a couple times and I learned my lesson, and I don't battle addiction. Like I never really did. It was just like if my kids were away from me, fuck it, I don't care. And then I turn into this like little demon, you know? I don't know, something about growing up I grew up in a reserve where there was a lot of isolation and bullying. They call it a settlement, but I don't see a difference from a reserve. It's the same thing. I know I should give some respect to the Métis, but it's the same thing, right? So, I mean, no disrespect. But just to give people a general idea, settlement is when Métis have that collective land and they give their members land, a house, or else they give them land and they can build on it if they want. And it's spread out throughout a county. It's not just a little community like a reserve, I guess. It's like a few kilometers long. This Paddle Prairie, I don't know. If you guys want to learn more about it, it's pretty interesting, but it was full of trauma, sexual abuse, bullying, isolation. It was kind of like growing up around a bunch of people, like adults, who had the minds of the children too. The gossip was big. There was a lot of secret drug dealing. A lot of pill addiction is there. And that's the issue with these places, is there's not really much mental health programs there. So when people like me leave to go into the regular community, we're insecure, we're weird. We don't have, like, I noticed that I didn't really have manners. I taught myself a lot of things. My dad, he taught me manners though, and I was always, I hate this, but he always taught me to be like gentle with people and not get mad. And that was the worst thing ever because girls were really mean to me. Like I have no childhood best friends from Paddle Prairie. I know there's some girls out there who try to say we were best friends, but my memory was them laughing at me in the hallway just because I was walking. Just because I was walking down the hallway. Kids would trip me, my food would go flying, and I didn't have food at home. We were poor, right? My dad was a medicine man. He traveled for work, so finally, and we had no money from it. He worked just by getting fabrics $20, giving them a place to stay to get rid of like entities and negativity, black magic and stuff. And that's what I do now. And I'm on the same path. Like I kind of struggle. I don't get much income from it. And it's beautiful. Anyway, so sorry to get off track. I'm kind of gonna ramble. This is kind of just a vlog about life is on the settlement reserve situation. So we didn't have much food. My parents loved us, trust me, but there was a lot of emotional invalidation. Not really much self-care because they couldn't take care of themselves. They weren't doing well. My mom came, sorry, I'm burping. My mom came directly from a line of residential school survivors. She passed away very young from lung cancer. It hurt my mom, and she wasn't able to go see her because my dad, he grew up with a farmhand dad who was aggressive growing up, and like it's because these people have trauma. They always taught me that, like, they're not evil, Paige. They have trauma, they're sad, and they take it out in anger. I was taught compassion, so I had no backbone. I could see the pain in everyone because it was explained to me from a very young age. And I became resentful from this. People making fun of me for being poor. Like, my clothes were always raggy. We didn't always have body wash, so I didn't really shower. Or the water was like brown and I didn't want to bath in it. It was gross. We sometimes didn't have water to drink. We'd have to boil it because it would come out yellow. And it's still like this to this day. Like, sometimes there's issues. And yeah, kids would like trip me down the hallway. There was no food. Sometimes the school wouldn't have extras to give out, so it'd be like, okay, I have to go home and eat potatoes or macaroni, you know? And yeah, so school there was really rough. There was a lot of sexual abuse too, like directly from a sibling, not the one that I'm connected to, but the one that had, like, I have a brother that nobody really knows about, because he's battling mental illness, and there was inappropriate things happening there when I was like 5. And I would tell people these things because I thought it was normal. He never told me not to tell anyone. So I would start telling people, and finally, like, people would tell me, quit lying. Stop saying stuff like that. Because I'd be like on the TV like, hey, so-and-so does that to me. So-and-so does that to me. And I'd be 5. And yeah, like, no one believed me. Finally, one day someone seen it. And they took me and my sister away. I don't know if it happened to my sister. She never talked about it. But they took me and my sister away from that and moved me in with my grandparents. And that was the first time I had ever felt safe, and we had food all the time. So I have good memories with my grandparents. They were my best friends, right? Life changed after I went with them. School was still rough and kids were still really mean. But I never took it personal. I just kind of reclused and kept to myself and just faced the fact that I didn't have friends. Then later in life, there was this girl that started wanting to be friends. She was kind of like weird, I guess. She grew up around a family that her parents like smoked a lot of weed and just kind of grunge. Not rough, just grunge, I guess. Like punk rock family, I guess. She introduced me to weed at... How old was I? I was in grade 6. She introduced me to weed in grade 6. I think I was 11 or 12. I can't remember because I was in grade 7 and I was 13, so 12. And she was the first person who like asked me to go for sleepovers and hang out, and I always wanted to do things, but the things she did to me, like sexual abuse, she would like do things to me and I didn't understand. And then she introduced me to these other 2 girls who were already into drugs at this age. Like, they were popping MDMA with 30-year-olds in the town closest to us. They would get rides to town and go party. And yeah, that was where I started to get confused with who I was and my life and stuff. Sorry to get so deep, guys, but this is a video that keeps reoccurring in my mind, and usually when that happens, Spirit's like, you need to talk about this situation, make a vlog, do something, write about it. When I write about it, it's not good enough. I keep seeing a camera in front of me, and I usually listen to my visions. I have to. And I'm actually starting, my throat was kind of hurting, and I was feeling sad and consumed by the memories. Talking about it right now is kind of helping. And I'm going to leave the comments open, because if you've experienced this, you can share with me too. This is a safe place. So let's continue. Yeah, she introduced me to these other 2 girls, and they did the same things to me. I didn't understand. I never told anyone, because last time I told people, I was called a liar. And then all my cousins started doing it to me. I didn't get it. I was like, why are you guys doing this stuff? This is weird. And then I started showing other kids as I got older, but I stopped around grade 4 because I was like, this is yucky. I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable. But that already embedded that people only wanted sexual source for me, like that I think that's what made me super slutty, super giving of my sexual energy when I was a teenager. Like when I would drink, I think that's where it stems from. Like I would give myself to people or force myself, and it was just repulsive. I can openly talk about that now because I know where it comes from. I took like hypnotherapy and stuff. I took a lot of counseling, and yeah, that's a really that's something I've never really told anyone about. I admit that. And then, okay, what else did I want to talk about? And then, okay, so my dad had this best friend. I loved him. He was my uncle. He always lived down, he lived like, there's a long road where we lived, kind of like 5-10 minutes from the paddle store. And my uncle, he lived down at the very end of the road near the river, and he had this girlfriend or fiance. I don't know if they were ever married, but the girls, we were friends with them in the beginning. It was really fun, but because of our trauma, we kind of bullied each other when like arguments would happen. So it was confusing. And then when we started to go to school and she became friends with the girls that were sexually assaulting me, she like, these girls, they didn't want me to tell people what they were doing to me. They didn't want anyone to know. They were telling people things about me, and I had no clue. I wasn't a gossiper. My dad told me never say bad things about people because everyone's in pain. So I had no clue what gossip was. I just understood that it wasn't nice. I never knew how to do it because I seen love in people, right? Even if they weren't nice. It just confused me when people were mean. I wish my dad would have taught me boundaries. And but he was narcissistic, I'm gonna say that. Sorry, someone just sent me a message. It threw me off. Okay, so we were good friends. We would do like modeling shows, have sleepovers. It was really fun. She felt like a safe friend. But as we hit high school or like grade school, like 5, 6, 7, she kind of started to turn into those girls that would snicker at me in school. And it was so confusing. I'm like, how come you're treating me like that? And it's because the girls sexually assaulting me were befriending her because she was getting pretty. And before, they would like call her fat. They would make fun of her. So when they started to accept her, she was like, I'm jumping on this. I want to be accepted. It's kind of like, I understand why. I understand why, 100%. She's still like that. We recently, like in end of 2020, we tried to reconnect, but then she started lying, like just because we were talking, she started lying to people and saying my medicine man father was teaching her craft. My father never did craft, never. He used herbs on sage to cleanse people and protect them. He would pray over it and pour it on, and we'd smudge all the negative energy away. She started telling people like, yeah, I seen him doing witchcraft and I seen her doing it too. He taught me how to do it, but never to use it for bad. And when she did that, my third eye is tingling as I say this. She probably still says it. I'm going to be exposing some people without names in these videos. So if you are one of these people, just know that there's two sides to every story, and this is mine. Anyway, so yeah, when she started saying that to me, I was like, haha. And I still, at this point in 2020, I was still at the point where I thought I could talk to people carelessly and trust them. I learned heavily within the last year, 2021, the last half of the year, how two-faced people are and how unaware of my speech I was. Like, I would agree with conversations, or I'd have an opinion to comfort someone, and now I'm like, that's not for me. God humbled me greatly for gossiping. Excuse me. Whenever I have spirit messages, I burp. I'm sorry. So you're gonna notice I'm burping a lot. But yeah, like, that was a struggle. That was really confusing for me. Like, one vivid memory that I keep trying to get over is her bringing one of the girls over, and they locked me out of my bedroom. And I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, they locked me out of my bedroom. She's like, what the fuck? She walks in, and I didn't think anything of it. I noticed their bags were kind of full, and I was like, oh, they must have changed. They were gonna sleep over, but right away my mom sent them home. And then I started looking around my stuff. They stole all of my makeup. They stole all of my clothes. Like the one girl, I think she lives in Buffalo now. She has a good heart, but the way she's seen her mom's trauma live out and her stepfather's relationship, I understand. You're gonna hear my family talking, that's all. I understand why she is the way she is, and I never wanted to retaliate. I had a dream one time, and this is what ended the conversation, because I get visions and dreams. They warn me. This is when I started to discover started to embrace my abilities and the messages spirit brings me. There's a lot of people like me. I don't think I'm godly. I don't think I'm the only one, and everyone around me seems to think seems to think I'm full of myself about it. There's so many people like me who have way more beautiful abilities. I'm not the only one in the world, and that's a message for anyone who hates me and is watching me. Okay, so I kind of felt the energy from her like shifty. Like she wanted to connect, because I noticed a lot of people who connect to me say, I love how light I feel with you. You make me feel so good. Good things happen when you're in my life. It's because I water them. I love them. I pray over them every day. I wish them well, and when I feel their pain, I'm like, God, please keep them safe, and then everything lifts. They'll message me right after. I like that, and you guys should try to practice love. Even if you feel sad, practice love. It heals so strongly. I've been doing it all day after wanting to hurt myself last night. I'll be really honest. Like, I was like, God, give these visions to other people, please. Everyone hates me, my family. I have no one on my dad's side that talks to me anymore, and they used to like be so loving. Yeah, it's confusing. So let's keep going. One time I had a dream about this girl, and this is about the time I was starting to ask spirit, like, can you show me, like, should I trust her? All of a sudden, 17, all of a sudden I had a dream. She was like, Paige thinks she's some fucking philosopher from God. Fuck that bitch. She's such a wannabe. And it was like, I woke up and I was like, okay, so since she knows I can see visions and stuff, I'm gonna have a conversation with her. I'm always brutally honest with people. I never hold anger about it, but I will tell them I'm backing away because of this reason, and you may not do this, who knows. This could just be in my head, or, you know, a past thought that you had. And she's like, ha ha ha, you're such a joke. Like, if you actually think that's me, you need to correct yourself. And I was like, well, the way you're talking, I think it's real. I think you're subconscious. You feel that way. A lot of people, when they're unhealed, they'll compare themselves to others who embrace themselves and love themselves. I haven't loved myself my whole life, and 2021 was the year I decided I kind of like my abilities. They help people. After a whole life of being told how worthless I am, laughed at, made fun of because of the way my DNA was changed from like trauma. Trauma changes your DNA. Having constant distress makes the hippocampus, it's the nerve in your head that builds neurons, and if you're not building enough, or if you're building too many at a high rate, like the alarm system, eventually it'll turn into like a reptilian kind of brain. You'll start operating from that, where it's spite, anger, sad, paranoid, stuff like that. I had a lot of distress, and it was always sending juices to that area. So I eventually became paranoid and gossipy and fearful and suspicious of people, like really suspicious. And then I think I wasn't learning my lessons because I didn't even know I was acting like this. Like, I'm saying this after all this trauma. This is what happened, and I recently like started to discover what was going on with me. And this is a lot of people who have lived on reserves. You know, it's not just reserves. There's people who experience this trauma at home, sometimes even worse, directly from their parents. My parents never... My dad was aggressive because he had unhealed things, but he apologized, and we ended up being really close as an adult before he passed away. And anyway, this is everywhere. I'm not trying to single out reserves, but I am saying this really fucked me up, and I had no social skills. I had no self-respect, and things could have went worse. I could have got addicted to drugs, you know. I could have got addicted to like needle things, like other people, but or smoking, you know. I didn't start smoking weed until I was 18 because my dad handed me the joint then. I wasn't really into it until later, like after I had my second son, Tate. I was like, what, 24? I got into weed then, and I noticed it turned into a habit. Like I really got comfortable. It soothed things. It was an addiction. I will say that it got me through a lot of shit. Otherwise I'd be living in high alert all the time, you know, like because my nerves, they were always sparking, and when they're always sparking, I'm always on alert. Someone's post, is that about me? I'm deleting them. That's how I operated for a long time after dealing with a lot of manipulation in my lifetime. My first relationship after moving from paddle, we had to run because it was an abusive situation, and no hate or anything. I love my dad a lot. He had fear of being left, right? And he wanted to control the situation because he was always kind of felt alone as a child, and his sisters were not the nicest. Even in adulthood, his sisters, all of them, called him a witch. Every single one. I remember having no one visit us, and people would feel weird whenever we'd visit. All of them were like that. My grandpa was the only one who embraced it. And a lot of them think my grandpa prays because he's churchgoer, but spirit wants you to pray even if you're spiritual. It's not fear-mongering. I'll make another video about that, guys. This is kind of just a rambling vlog because I'm just giving intuitive talk right now. I don't even know if this is going to get any attention, but I'm going to continue making videos like this. I won't spiel all of my situations. Like, I want to talk about my first relationship after I left Paddle Prairie. I want to try and talk about it from a mind frame where I fucked him up too. It wasn't just him, but I never beat him, you know, because that was a physical abusive relationship. From age 15 to 19 I left, and then we were broken up. But yeah, it's another video. We'll talk about that one another time. But this is what living on the reserve did to me. I wish I could give you more details, but I don't have a lot of memory. I don't have a lot of memory from being a little girl. It tarnished a lot of how I build relationships with people. I'm really suspicious of women, and I'm nervous about having friends. Like, I'm always wondering, what's their motive? Why is that person watching my story? I find myself still like this, and it kind of got worse after my most recent relationship that ended in, when did it end? In 2017, officially? Yeah. That was, he won't admit it, but that was a narcissistic situation. I came into it empathetic and also manipulative. I was manipulative to protect myself. I was in survivor mode. I'll explain that. I'm gonna have I have 2 bad relationships, so I'm gonna have different videos for those ones. Emotionally, financial abuse from the narcissistic, and then physical abuse and emotional abuse that kind of really altered my mind and ruined how I could have relationships for the rest of my life. And I think, yeah, I know I fucked him up too. So yeah, we'll talk about that later. This isn't scripted. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. But yeah, my childhood, it really altered how I could handle alcohol, drugs, anything like that. I would operate from a place of panic, insecurity, and I tried to like kill myself around 14. I grabbed all, like, this is trigger warning here. I remember my grandpa and grandma were staying with us because something about their house, like our trailer, I don't remember, it was being moved. And then my mom and dad were sleeping at 4 in the morning. I don't remember what time. This was after my dad's best friend's daughter, after she started to kind of turn her back on me, it wasn't solely because of her. This was because of a collection of things. I was 14, and this was just before we left the abusive situation. I was watching horrible things every day, and I swallowed a bunch of pills, and I don't know what happened. I thought it would work. I know that sounds horrible to say, but I thought it would work. All of a sudden, I couldn't stop throwing up, and it was just natural. Like, it wouldn't stop, and I couldn't breathe. My mom was crying. They called, she started the car, she took me to the hospital. My dad was still at a point where he wasn't really healthy enough to have, like, how do you say it, like, compassion for the moment. He later told me, like, you did that for attention, because my mom left him, because she's seen it as a sign. He's like, you did that for attention, you just fucked things up. And I hate exposing him like this, because he ended up healing a lot as an adult, but in the beginning, like me, just like me, I hurt people, he hurt people, and that's nothing shameful. It is something we have to work on and fix, because a lot of people aren't aware that they harm others when they're in a bad place. They have that victim mentality. I still kind of have that sometimes, and it's hard to break. It's really hard to break. Like, I'll be sitting there, like, pouting, and this is so fucked up, and it's like, okay, you know what? This is something I can fix, though, and I need a better mentality about this if I want to fix it. It's really hard to get out of that, and I just want to explain this little spiel, because I'm not trashing my dad. I love him so much. He was my best friend. Where was I? Okay, so yeah, with the suicide thing. Yeah, I was only 14. It didn't work. It didn't work. I know I sound disappointed. I shouldn't laugh, but I've healed from that, so it's easier to talk about now. And then we moved, and that's when I started drinking. Someone introduced me to alcohol, and I just made a fool of myself every time. People would, like, draw on me. I went from, like, experiencing bullying to attracting it, manifesting it, because I thought that's what I was worth, and I didn't know this. I had no idea. I did have a really good group of friends, though. I'm never gonna forget them. There was 4 that I absolutely love, and 3 of them were boys, and there was 1 girl. But I still seem to attract girls who, like, I don't know, there's this one girl, she was really twisted in her own way. She was hurt more than I was, and I kept trying to be friends with her. I would give her a place to stay continuously, even though she shit on me and talk about me, take things from me. It was hard. It was really hard trying to find who I was in this life and trying to think normal, you know? Anyway, so I manifested the bad relationship exactly like my mom had with my first boyfriend. I messed him up too. I'm not totally innocent in that. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, okay, so around 21, I was sick of myself. Like, I was sick of feeling so disconnected, and like I didn't have purpose. Feeling everyone's energy, like super empathetic, always picking up collective energy. It was so exhausting, and I didn't know this. My dad didn't understand it either. He never really explained it to me. He just said, you're psychic, and you're seeing spirits because they need your help, and you're seeing demons because people need help removing them. And I'm like, can I turn it off or something, because I'm tired. It was a daily thing. So having that, plus dealing with the trauma, plus people making fun of me for the behavior instead of saying, Paige, you need help. That was hard. All of it. It piled down on me one day, and because I had a history of suicide, I had a prescription from my doctor for not sleeping, because I would shake at night. I would shake, and I'd sit up and I'd pace, and I couldn't sleep. And my house at the time, oh my god, it was haunted. There would be things playing with garbage bags in the hallway. I'd go out there, no garbage bags. my cats would be ruffling in the hallway. I'd look beside me, my cat's right here, and I'd call it out. And I'd say, get the fuck out of my house, you're not welcome here. And it would leave. Like, this was happening all the time, and I forgot that I was kind of seeing spirits as a little girl. Like, I didn't nourish it, so it wasn't embraced. And I was confused. I thought I was going crazy. Oh, so, yeah, with that, my son, he was Jack. He was about 4 years old. I had him at 18. So yeah, I was about 21. Yeah. 21. No. 22. So Jack was 3. Okay, you know what? I'm confusing myself. I don't remember. Okay. I had him when I was like... I had him when I was 17. So 21. Okay. We got it. Anyway, doctor prescribed me crazy strong sleeping pills. He only gave me 3, and he's like, if you come back once a week, I'll give you these, but you need to break them in half and take them. Or no, he gave me 5, and I'd have to go back every week to get them. He didn't want me to have enough to kill myself. But after a couple of them, I kind of started sleeping good, and I slowed down on taking them. I would take my anxiety medication, and I kept doing embarrassing things and just putting more shame on my back, right? So I was like, fuck it. I don't like myself. I keep doing dumb things, and I keep hurting people, and I keep losing friends. I need to get rid of myself. So I took all 3 that I had, and then my son's grandma texted me and said, hi, baby misses his mommy. Can he come home? And I was like, I started to cry. I was like, fuck. I was already like drowsy and kind of falling. I hopped into my vehicle. I ran to the hospital. And I told them, I was like, the nurse, she knew me because I was having issues with my anxiety. I was a regular visitor there, unfortunately. And she's like, Paige, what did you do? And then I fell. And I don't know if I want to tell you guys what I seen. I kept trying to ask to stay, and I was like, no, please let me stay. I want to stay here. I don't like it there. And that was crazy. It was just black, though. I just kept talking, and it was black. I didn't see anything. They were like, you have to do this. You can't stay. And I felt crazy. I felt like it was just a dream. I never really thought anything about it. And then I seen this series on Netflix about like near-death experiences or something, or people who died and came back. Sounded similar, but I didn't see what they seen. I just seen blackness, and then we had a small, what felt like 30 seconds. And they were like, you can't do this. We already stopped you once. You need to stop. Came back, I woke up, and I was in this like ICU thing. And just as I started to wake up, all of a sudden, one of my high school friends walked in the room, and she was an adult now. Of course, we were like 21. And what happened? She's like, oh my God, my dad loves her. He still loves her. Even though he's passed, he's always said he's gonna love her. She's like, oh my God, Dad and I have been looking for you. Where are you? Rhonda said she couldn't find you. You weren't home. The door was open. And I was like, I don't know. And then she came in, she checked on me, she texted my dad. I wasn't allowed to have my phone. And what else? The nurse came in after that, and she's like, oh my God, you woke up. No. Okay, so backwards. This was after the nurse came in. And the nurse was like, you're awake. She like ran to tell the doctor and everything. There's IVs connected to me. And the doctor is checking my vitals and stuff, and they left me alone. The nurse came back because I liked her. I was a regular visitor, as I said, like sickness. It was a small town. We knew each other. And she's like, do you know what happened? And I was like, drowsy. I looked at her, I'm like, I don't know. And I didn't have any clothes on, just the gown. And she's like, we couldn't wake you up, your heart stopped. And she's like, you expelled. And she's like, we had to pump you with adrenaline and revive you. And I was like, oh. And she's like, but we got your heart going, but you were in a coma for a couple of days. And I was like, what day is it? It was literally like, I think over 48 hours later, like nearly 3 days. Because this happened in the evening. I did it around 7, and I was sitting in the bathroom, and then I got the text and I went to the hospital. And Then I woke up in the near midnight. No. Morning time. Morning time after 48 hours, if that makes sense. So like 2.5 days. And she was scared. She's like, what did you do? What did you take? We didn't find anything. Like, it must have dissolved before they found it because they were quick dissolving. And I told them, and she's like, you're very lucky to be here. She's like, we thought you weren't gonna make it. We thought that this coma was gonna kill brain cells. Like, we thought you were brain dead. But there's activity starting to come back after the first day. This was shocking to hear for me. It never really fazed me because I had such a high tolerance for trauma or drama. Does that make sense? Like, I was always in distress, so this was normal to me. This was not a surprise. And I didn't remember the conversation until like a few days later, and I kept thinking, like, I think that was a dream. But she said that I was gone for about an hour. It was crazy. Hearing that was crazy. I kind of wish I kept the medical records for that one. I probably could find them. But after that, the doctors kept seeing me and trying to diagnose me, but they're like, the thing is, you're so aware of what's going on. The only thing we can do is say you have anxiety, but why is this all happening to you? And I didn't get it either. It was a mystery for us. But I noticed after that, my visions got stronger, and I started falling apart from a lot of things. Things changed a lot, but my trauma was so deep, I reveled back into my addictions and stuff, and that was so hard to get rid of. Oh my god, I really wish someone's seen the pain is like, she needs serious help. We need to get someone in her house to help her, because there's so much that has happened in my life where it's like obvious that there's problems. But I grew up in a small town, not much better than a reserve, not much better than a settlement. They still have that mentality where it's funny to make fun of people who are too addicted to alcohol, who cannot... You know what, regardless of all that, I was still able to keep jobs. That's the only thing that was nice. I was still able to keep jobs and keep working. I loved working. I really wanted to learn. I really love my son. Jack kept me going so much. Yeah, that was a big turning point in my life. Whew. Okay, so I hope